Hello, I'm Jim Hazelwood, Bishop of the New England Synod.
Hi, I'm Mark Winzler, the Vice President of the New England Synod.
And we want to welcome you to this orientation video, which we were told should only be 3 minutes in length. That's not going to happen. But we might break it up into 33 different 3-minute segments for you. So we just want to give you a little bit of introduction. This is especially true for people who this will be your first Synod Assembly. We want to welcome you. You're going to be in Springfield, Massachusetts, and most likely, if you've registered early enough, your hotel is going to be at the Sheraton, which is a nice walk to the MassMutual Center, and so therefore wear comfortable walking shoes. That's an important thing. So we're going to do a little bit of an orientation. I'll give you an introduction, and then Mark's going to help us out with the whole business thing. One of the things you want to do before you come is you want to download the booklet, the Synod Assembly Handbook. That will be online probably in early May, and you'll receive an email indicating that. You're going to want to download that and keep that either on your laptop, your iPad, or if you want to print it out, you can do that. But do that in advance, and you might want to read over some of the reports, look at the agenda, get an idea of the whole thing. Second thing is you want to make sure that your church treasurer has paid your registration fee. So double check with them, because there's going to be 2 lines when you arrive. The one line will be, okay, paid, here you go, pick up your badge, go, you're good. The other line will wrap around the corner, and you will be standing with screaming children for about an hour. If you like screaming children and dogs and pets clawing one another as people are waiting to pay, then don't bother. The hotel, we covered that, the booklet, the shoes. So every year we have a theme, and we will have a theme this year, but we're not going to tell you what it is. It's a surprise. When you come into the MassMutual Center, you're going to come in on the first floor level, and that's where there are displays, exhibits, also all of the workshops that will be happening on Saturday, or at least most of them. They will be on the first floor. There's an escalator that'll take you upstairs to the second floor. That's where all of the plenary sessions are held. And when you go into there, you're going to want to look for your conference. So the Greater Rhode Island Conference, the Greater Hartford Conference, the Maine Conference, so forth and so on. And that's where you can be seated. I think that kind of covers a little bit of the introduction. Oh, there's a park across the street, so when there's breaks, get some fresh air, walk around. So Mark, they come in and, especially this year, the first year we're having business. What happens with all that business stuff?
It's really not all business. I mean, it's work, but it's also worship. We worship together as we begin, as we end, and in the middle. And it's also a time to socialize, to get to know other Lutherans across the New England Synod. You really get the sense of what Synod means by coming to Synod Assembly. But let me just talk a little bit about some of the things that you're going to do. You'll hear reports. Bishop Hazelwood will give a report. There's always a representative from the ELCA headquarters in Chicago who comes and will deliver a report to us. And there's also usually a keynote speaker who will highlight for us, and there'll be conversations surrounding whatever that person talks about. We'll also be passing a budget. We'll also be looking at compensation guidelines for rostered leaders. There will be elections. Elections are very simplistically done at your conference table with paper ballots, and we'll go through all of those types of things when you're there. But it's very important that at the time of elections that you are at your tables and ready to go. There is an agenda that we follow, and we try to keep to the time frame precisely. Respecting that things need to move along. We have a lot to do in a relatively short period of time.
That gives me you mentioned elections. I think it's a good idea if people go online and they look at the bios for all of the people that are nominated, and so that'll be online, and there's bios and photographs. Do that in advance, because it's a lot to try to read those bios and vote at the same time.
And there's also an opportunity for people for more nominations to come in.
That's right.
At the time at the assembly. So it's good to read, as the bishop said, to read about the ones that are already previously nominated, because there may be more, once you get to the vote, and so you won't have so much to read. To underscore, everything's online. And, you literally should check it up until the time you get there and after you get there as well. But make sure that you do that so that you come fully prepared, because we won't hand out the booklets. We won't hand out anything except ballots for the elections.
Right.
So we also do something called reference and counsel, where we consider resolutions from people or groups about topics. And we also consider what we call memorials. But those memorials are those things that we are asking beyond us. For example, that we would ask the Churchwide Assembly, which meets in 2016, to consider. I'm just trying to think of what I've missed. I think those are the general types of things, rather than going into the nitty-gritty of every little thing. But needless to say, these are interspersed with breaks, interspersed with meals. We usually have 1 or 2 meals together on site, but there's also an opportunity to go off. Springfield has a number of nice restaurants in the area that you can go to, either with members, your other voting members, or with other people from around New England. Being that we're in 6 states and 2 congregations in New England, it's very hard to get us all together, and this is a great time to do that. So we always make sure that socialization is built into that.
When we have reference and counsel and things like that we're discussing on the floor of the assembly, there's a couple of things that you might want to think about if you've never been there. First of all, we have 3 microphones, and those 3 microphones are marked clearly, I hope. One is pro, might be a green, or it might just say pro on it, and that's if you want to get up and speak in favor of the resolution that's before. There'll be a con, which might be marked with a red card, or it might say con, and then you would go to that microphone. And then there's another microphone in the middle if you've got a point of order or a question. You're not really speaking in favor. If you come to a microphone and you're going to speak about it, here's 2 suggestions that I have for you. One is, be mindful of the fact that you are limited to 3 minutes maximum. And 3 minutes goes by very quickly if you're talking. If you're listening, 3 minutes can sometimes feel like an eternity, but that's another story.
Like now, perhaps.
Right, exactly. Right. They've already turned us off at this point. Each item is limited to 15 minutes. We're just allowed 15 minutes of debate. So, 3 times 5 is 15. You got 5 people, boom, we're done, and then we vote. The other suggestion I would say is, speak to whatever is the issue that we are talking to at that particular moment. So if somebody has made an amendment to a motion, that's what we're talking about. So we're always talking about the item in front of us. And if you're up there and you start to talk about something that was 5 minutes ago, I'm probably going to have to say, I love you, but we're not talking about that right now. Would you step back and wait? I may not say it. Well, I'll be nice. Yeah. Anything else on that debate part? Because that can be confusing for people.
And to let you know that we do have a parliamentarian, who will help guide us as well. But there's those of us that are up in front will also help to guide you, and we will go over these things before they happen as well, so that you're mindful of it. Realize that could be a little bit of information overload, but we wanted to give you just snippets of things that you would be able to grab onto before you got that, just to give you a flavor, especially if this is your first time coming to Synod Assembly. Yeah.
We're looking forward to having you there.
We are.
It's a 2-day assembly this year, which is a little bit of a different format. Usually we're 3 days, but this is going to save some costs to congregations in terms of meals and hotels. And, wait a minute, I wasn't supposed to say that.
That's
because
right.
We might be using this again next year. So if it's next year, then that's not true. It's a 3-day assembly. So depending on what year you're watching this, some of this might be totally wrong.
Yeah.
In fact, we may not even be here next year. See you in June.
Take care.